Hey guys, Harry Wilmington here, and from here on out, I am your introvert dating coach. So today, we're going to be answering a question from a guy that wants to know whether or not this woman is still interested in him. And the reason he can't tell is because he's noticing that since they've been dating, he's always been the one to initiate contact via phone, and she never has. And I think this is an important lesson for you guys out there, because I think that oftentimes as men, we are looking at a whole bunch of things to get indicators that a woman likes us, instead of looking at the things that really actually matter that a woman's doing that can really signal whether her interest is there or not. And I think just the idea of phoning and calling and texting women has really added confusion to the game about what level of text should I be reading into that indicates that a woman's interested in me or not. So let's go ahead and get into this guy's question. So he says, the girl I'm dating hardly ever initiates conversations or dates. Is she just not interested anymore? He says, we met on Tinder 2 months ago. We have gone on a date per week since we've met. And I always recommend to you guys, when you start out with women, you want to set it to just 1 date per week until she starts suggesting otherwise, all right? Continuing, he says, I find her really attractive and she's an interesting person, very cultivated. We have an amazing conversation. But recently, I've been unhappy about our lack of communication and initiative. Now, I want to stress this by saying this. He's talking about communication as it refers to the phone, but he's not saying about how their communication is on the date. I would say that if their communication is going well on the date in terms of is she laughing at his stuff or is she asking him questions about himself, then that's usually a pretty good sign that she still has interest, okay? But I'll get more into that later. So he says, she doesn't make much effort to text me. She hasn't sent me any message since Thursday. She is from abroad and her parents came to visit her since last Thursday and they are staying until next Friday. I can understand that she wants to spend time with them, but that does not prevent her from just sending a message in 4 days. At the beginning, she used to sometimes send pictures of what she was up to. Well, this is one of those cases where you could read into it as maybe she's lowering interest, but also realistically, this is a situation where her family is in town. And sometimes when that kind of stuff happens, a person may want to be more focused on what's going on in front of them than what's necessarily happening outside of what they're able to pay attention to at that time. So she may legit care about you, but her family's in town for 4 days and you guys aren't at the place yet where she can bring you to the family. So she may just be like, I'm going to just focus on them while they're in town. And when they leave, I'll resume my regularly scheduled program with this guy. Now, there might be something that bugs you, and that might be a conversation that you have with her after the family leaves town. But you guys are so early in the dating process that to me, this doesn't seem abnormal. Typically, when I start dating women, I'm like, hey, I really err on the side of anytime you're doing something long-term that doesn't involve me, then I'm not thinking that you have to talk to me. So if I'm dating a woman and say it's like the second month and she has to go out of town for a trip, or her family comes into town, or she's going on a vacation, she's playing with her girlfriends, at none of these times would I be like, well, make sure you call me or text me when you're gone. I would actually expect to not hear from her because I'm not the boyfriend yet. That's just how I operate. So I wouldn't take any offense to if this woman went away for 4 or 5 days while her family's in town. And if she told me, hey, my family's going to be in town, so I'm going to probably be off the radar for a while, I'd be like, great, hit me up when they leave. And then I would just trust that if she liked me, that she'd hit me up when she left. If she didn't, then I'd know that that was just an excuse and I'd move on. Continuing, he says, now I know I could have also messaged her first, but I feel like it's always coming from me. It's not a relationship in which we both do 50-50 of the efforts, more like 90-10. From the start, she has usually not taken much initiative. He says out of like 8 dates, he suggested 1. And outside of our dates, we don't communicate as much as I would like to. I was fine with it at the beginning because I thought it was just due to the fact that we didn't know each other much, but now it's getting even worse. I'm not sure what's going on in her head, if she just isn't interested anymore or if she really has trouble communicating. She could even be thinking that our relationship is over for all I know. I want to talk to her, but I don't really know how to approach the subject. I don't want to sound needy or controlling and accuse her of anything, but at the same time, I feel like my needs are not met in our relationship. How should I go about this? Okay, so here's the reality of the situation, okay? Is that just like we've learned things about women that we recognize, okay, if I'm doing this thing, this might turn a woman off. Women are also have their own set of things that they are also learning. And one of the things that they learn is that sometimes men will get scared off or chased away if you're the one that's overreaching and texting and calling too much. Now, we know obviously, and I've told you guys, that women that really like you, they can't help but to reach out to you because if they know that they like you and that you're a rarity, they don't want you to go away. So they will in fact reach out to you. But with that said, there are still some women out there that'll just be like, well, you know what? I don't want to overstep and I want him to be the one to lead. So I'm going to let him do the calling and texting. But when he does text and call me, I will respond And when he asks me for a date, I will say yes. So this whole thing about how much you should be reaching out, how much she should be reaching out, how much she should be texting, you texting, keep in mind, the ultimate goal of this is to have a relationship. It's not to have a phone texting buddy or pen pal, okay? So here's what I err on the side of. If you are reaching out to her and you're asking for dates and she's saying yes and she's showing up on time, you're good. If you are consistently texting her every so often and she responds back to you, you're good. If she's not trying to start these random conversations with you or text you to ask you out on a date, you're still good because when you ask her out, she's still saying yes, okay? So recognize that some women aren't going to be phone people. I actually adore when women are not phone people because I, as an introvert, I got my own stuff to do. I want to have my alone time and I don't want to have it interrupted by somebody that's constantly texting or calling me all the time and then getting mad when I don't respond, okay? So it is true that women on average, when they start to like you more, they're going to call and text a little bit more, okay? But we're not in this to try to have a phone relationship. We're in this to have a realistic in-person situation, okay? So while she's gone with her family, she may not respond to you, but wait until her family's gone to see if the way you're texting her and asking her out is able to continue the way it was beforehand. You've been doing one date a week for the past 8 weeks. That is admirable. That should be happening. At some point, if you're thinking you want to have more dates, you may be the one that has to introduce that, okay? But even so, like I said, a lot of women will err on the side of, I want my man to take the lead on this situation. Even with that though, she still asked you out on at least one date, okay? So you can bring up in the next date, hey, we've been doing these dates, it's been absolutely great, but hey, you know what? Just so you know, if you ever have something, I tell the girls that I date too, I say, if you ever have like an idea that you think you want to do or something that you would want to do that you think we'd be interested in, hey, I'm open to those ideas, just let me know. Because some women actually need permission to be able to give you dating ideas, and they need permission to be able to text you and call you with these ideas. Because they're having women, like I said, they've had their own set of situations whereby in the past they might have, tried to do those things and the man shut them down. And you might not know what this woman's dating past has been to where maybe she's not as forthcoming with her feelings or not as forthcoming with wanting to reach out to you. But again, look at how she's reacting to you when you do reach out. When you reach out, she responds. When you ask for a date, she says yes. Could there be any slight chance of low interest? I'd say possibly. There's always a risk of that when you're dating. But right now, all I'm seeing is a woman that's responding to you when you ask her out and she's not flaking. So I'd err on the side of you're good. I wouldn't put too much pressure on her to have to try to talk to you because, in the midst of her family being home, because realistically, her family, if she doesn't see her family a lot and they're in town, I know when my family has family reunions and I'm there for like 3 or 4 days, I really don't have time to send text messages. Like, even if I get to the end of the night where it's like I might have time, I may be too tired, I may forget. Something may come up with the family last minute where I got to go back to them again. And honestly, sometimes too, in the course of dating somebody, it is sometimes kind of nice to get a little bit of break from them and be like, hey, I've been enjoying our time together, but I got a week with my family, so I can kind of like have time to chill with them. And then in my smaller moments, I can just kind of gel with the feelings about how I'm feeling about this guy. Also, she may actually recognize that, this guy's not trying to reach out to me so much when my family's here. I actually appreciate the fact that he's giving me that time. Now I want to give him even more of my time because he didn't make it feel like an obligation to have to talk to him while my family was in town, okay? So take all that into account. But ultimately, you're on the right path, dude. Don't overdo too much or overthink this thing, okay? And also important, stop putting so much importance on the phone, okay? You should only be reaching out to her to set up dates. So if you're feeling upset that you're not getting this 50-50, I'm trying to have a regular conversation with her on the phone thing, save those conversations for your freaking dates and bond on the dates when you can see her, touch her, smell her, feel her, and all that stuff. Look for signs during the date that indicate that she's still interested. For example, you didn't mention if you guys have kissed on any of these dates, if you guys have hooked up on any of these dates. These are things that are really gonna let you know how she's feeling more so than is she texting me first before I text her. Like, don't live in that world. And if you need help with getting over that kind of stuff, I got a book on my website called Texting Like a Boss, which gives you the ins and outs of how to text, what not to text, when and how to text. And then I got other programs there that are designed to help you become more confident and recognize that even if you're not hearing from her all the time, you can still feel confident enough to make the moves you need to make to let her know that you're still confident that this thing is working and that she still has feelings for you, okay? That's all at the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. And for you podcast listeners, youtube.com/ youtube.com/HarryWilmington is where you can catch more of these videos. Also, for the podcast listeners, I actually put out more videos at my website than I put shows on here, because in between the show days, I have other videos that are entertaining and fun, and you can check those out if you become a subscriber to the YouTube channel. So be sure to check those out as well. Thank you for watching this episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show. If you found the info in this episode to be helpful, please show your support by clicking on the tip jar tab, the link of which can be found at the website and in the description below. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on this episode, and catch new episodes right here on YouTube or wherever podcasts can be found. In the meantime, be sure to check out these other episodes so you too can learn to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.